Wise Guy Wednesday now on the morning show. The wise guy Matt Sullen is here, going lunar loony is what we call it. Little moon madness here on the morning show. This is really cool.
Right, and so we're going to talk about the moon today because the moon is fascinating. But I want to say that next week we got some really excellent questions sent to us this week, and one of them was from Yankee Ridge Elementary School in Urbana, and they wanted to know why lasers look red all the time. And so next week we're going to talk about why lasers are red, and are they always red? And that's a good question in itself. So we'll do that next week.
We're kind of talking about light, but light on the moon this time.
That's right, that's right. And people have bounced lasers off the moon, so that's a slight little segue, yeah, to kind of measure the distance and things like that. So we'll talk about that next week. But this week I want to talk about the moon, and I want to explain to people why the moon has the phases that it does, because we see it when it's new, it looks kind of dark, and when it's a full moon, of course, it's big and bright, and then in between you see these little crescents, and you know, sometimes it's half lit up and so on. And so people might not understand how that works, but it's actually really very simple. And so here's the kind of a picture here. Here we are on the Earth. Whoops. Okay. And you're going to be the sun. Why don't you be the sun over there? You can just
shining brightly.
Shining brightly, and you won't see that on TV probably, but that's okay. So suppose the sun is over to your right. Now, the Earth rotates like this. Okay, once a day it goes around. The moon goes around the Earth sort of like this once a month, once every 4 weeks or something like that. And so what the moon looks like to us, it's just a function of where it is relative to the sun and to the Earth. So when it's between us and the sun, then it's a new moon because the side facing us isn't lit up at all because the sun's on the other side. When it's over on the other side, over here, the sun lights it up and we see a full moon. Okay, because it's totally lit up on that side. When it's over here, we see it sort of half on one side. When it's over here,
part of the light is seeing
it. And when over here, it's sort of half on the other side. And so I drew a crappy little picture. You didn't know I was an artist, but I am an artist. So here we are. Here we are on the Earth.
Right.
Here we are standing here, you know, waiting for a bus or something. And the sun is over here, way over here on the right-hand side, and it always just lights up half the moon.
Right.
Okay, and whether and how we see that half lit up part of the moon just depends on where the moon is during the month. So when the moon is over here, the lit up side is hidden from us and it's a new moon, it looks dark. When it's over here, the lit up side, we can see it sort of on the right hand side of the moon and it's sort of half lit, here's a full moon, and so on.
So we see that light and we see these phases, but what's the difference between, say, something like this and an eclipse? When it happens during the day?
Okay, when an eclipse happens, it happens that the moon is directly between us and the sun. And it's a beautiful coincidence, actually, that the moon is exactly the right size to just block out the sun. It didn't have to be that way at all, but it's very fascinating. So actually, I want to just demonstrate this real quick because it's a cool visual. Hope we have time here. So if we flip off the lights, please, then we can do this. Okay. And here we go. There's one more switch someplace. There we go. Okay. So here we go. Now that the moon is directly between us and the sun, and so what you see, oops, let me do it over there. What you see is a new moon. You see sort of the sun behind it. This would be an eclipse, actually. So that so it's lit up. A little while later in the month, the moon is sort of a little bit farther to the left in the sky, let's say, and so now we start to see a crescent as we look at it from the Earth because we're seeing the side that's lit up a little bit better. When it's halfway around, we see that half the moon is lit up like this. Okay. When it's all the way around on the other side of the Earth, we see a full moon like that.
And then it goes around the other side.
And it goes around the other side, and so we see the other side lit up. It's half lit up on the other side, and then as it starts to disappear, it becomes a thin little crescent, and then eventually it wanes away into nothing, and the whole thing repeats again.
Very cool.
28 days later.
All right, wise guy Matt Sullen. We'll see you in 30 minutes. Talk a little bit more about moon madness. Oh, I kind of like that.
Pretty spooky.
There we go. All right. Let's send it over to Robert for a look at today's forecast.